one of my like passions is just kind of like working with color and the interplay between them and how putting different colors next to each other, how do they respond? How do they work? How can I fuck your eyes over a little bit with this? And it's just interesting, that tension, that push and pull and what can be used.
Welcome to Bench Talk, the podcast where I dive deep into conversations with inspiring artists to unveil the secrets behind their creativity, along with discussions and behind-the-scenes insights into the realities of building a professional art career. Welcome to another episode of Bench Talk. I'm your host, Tom Gerrard. Today I'm sitting down with George Rose, and we're here in Darwin as part of the Darwin Street Art Festival. We're both been painting murals up here, and we're fortunately both on the other side of our murals now, and we get to hang out and have a chat. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Tom.
No worries. Always good to catch up. I don't see you that often these days.
No, I was trying, before you got up here, I was trying to think about when the last time was that we would have seen each other. I don't know if it was before you even came back to Melbourne. We might have like high-fived. You might have come back and I was on my way out.
Possibly.
Then, and we probably just did a quick high five on the way.
Where are you based these days?
I'm kind of nomadic, for the most part. So I've spent the better part of last year in Europe. You could say that I'm kind of vaguely based in Switzerland, but not really, because like the visa situation is just kind of like, and traveling around for different projects. So I've been bouncing around for projects, I guess for the past year, and then definitely for the last like 6 months, I've just been on the road, sort of like a few different countries and a few different places.
Cool.
Midway through my Australian tour.
Yeah. How do you go about drumming up projects in Europe?
Well, I guess it's taken a few years, I think, to really kind of get a bit of a roll on over there. So initially, I was getting more of an interest in America. So I was going to America every year. I'd sort of chase the summer and do the Northern Hemisphere summer in America, and then Southern Hemisphere, I'd sort of flip for a few months. But then I kind of wanted to target more of Europe. So initially I kind of reached out to a couple of different people I knew, and I just kind of went over there. And I think it's so much easier when you go places, because Australia is so far away from everything else. If someone finds out that you're like close by and it's easier to kind of get in, that's a lot more opportunities open up. And so initially I just kind of like would go over and see people and reach out and make connections. And then, one thing kind of led to another, word kind of spread. You start to sort of get more of a momentum in that location. And so that's kind of how it happened for Europe.
Cool. I was chatting to a friend from Europe not that long ago, and he was saying, as far as doing mural projects in Australia versus mural projects in Europe, he found that there was a lot less money going around in Europe. Like the paydays were a lot smaller, and you end up sort of compromising on pay for the opportunity to paint a big wall.
Yeah. There's some really stark differences between Australia and Europe, and that's one of them for sure. Like you can make a living as a professional muralist in Australia. It's quite a lot more, I guess. Australia's kind of embraced it more as kind of like a vocation, whereas in Europe it's still kind of seen as maybe like a hobby or not something that's as serious. I think there's an attitude of, I'm allowing you to paint my wall over there, as opposed to like, I want you to paint the wall. I personally have a theory about that as being kind of like, European culture is much more centered around purchasing artwork on canvases, like studio work for your walls, for your interiors, and that's really respected. Whereas I guess muralism is seen as a kind of a newer version of, a newer style of art or a newer kind of thing. And so they're not really embracing it as much. Whereas Australia's got like we're a younger kind of like, our modern culture is quite a lot younger, and so therefore like we embrace muralism a lot more easily, whereas we don't really buy canvases for our walls or our interiors. It's kind of like this weird flip, I kind of find. It's true. It's the money is very different over there, but the walls are somehow nicer.
Really?
Yeah.
In what way? Like when I think about Europe, I think of like crusty old walls and stuff like that, and bricks with deep mortar. But when I think about Australia, I think of a new development.
No, so in a lot of countries in Europe, they need to have firewalls at the end of their buildings, And also because of the urban density over there, quite a lot of cities, most of the time they'll have apartment complexes that are about 6 stories high. And so you get all these like beautiful, the ratio of the walls is kind of like these lovely portrait kind of like canvases that are over there. And then they have to have these firewalls, which is the end of, they can't just have like rows upon rows of houses. And so they've got these like firewalls that kind of like stop. And that's usually when you see all the beautiful photos of the murals in Europe, they're on a firewall. And so yeah, they're just kind of like, Australia's got some really like long, thin, kind of like shorter walls, whereas they're just kind of like a different kind of ratio. So yeah, you do definitely get like the cruddy kind of like shitty walls over there still, but they just seem to have like a different style of wall because of the way that they build buildings.
Yeah.
Like
When
pitched roofs as well.
Yeah, when I think of a European mural, I think of like a 5-story building with a
Yes.
pitched roof and
Yes.
chimneys on the top.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that kind of like stereotypical kind of like wall that you can paint on, which it's just a really nice ratio to paint on, really.
Yeah, it is.
When I think about it, like I hate the super long snaky walls here. It's like, it's just a different way to paint. It's a different way to design your work. It's a different kind of like, layout.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because the building we're actually in at the moment, you have 2 massive murals on the front of it.
Yes.
Like it's known as the George Rose Building, more or less, here in Darwin, and like they're massive. What are they? Like 9 stories each?
Yeah, 9 or 10 stories, I think. I think, yeah.
Yeah, and you painted them 2 years apart. So you did one in 2022 and the other one in 2024. But yeah, you can tell that they're sort of made to be individual pieces that actually work together. Was it hard to sort of like tap into a 2-year
Yes.
old version of yourself to sort of match them up and everything?
Yeah, it was. I kind of like, if I had been told that I was going to be invited back to do another wall at another stage, then I think I would have definitely approached it quite differently to how I did. Because I think initially it was just like one wall and I was like, great, this is such an amazing wall. I'm going to do whatever I want on it. And then the second time around, I didn't want to replicate it. I didn't want to do the same thing. Obviously my style has evolved over the last 2 years, I think, like anyone's kind of stuff. And so there was a lot of thought behind like, how do I make this different? How do I lean into what I'm doing now? And yet how do I make it work with the other one? And I guess it is quite different, but somehow it kind of works in the same way. Like almost I feel like if I kept on going around and done more of the walls and there was more of my evolution, maybe it would make more sense eventually at like, wall number 5, but I don't think they have that many more walls that I can paint here.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll continue building it. Yeah, I was looking at it the other day. I was standing in front of it and I was thinking, like, how did you get access up there? Because there's not much like flat ground around. There's a footpath and then like car park and all sorts of stuff. Like, how did you actually reach?
There was a really, really big boom lift.
Yeah.
Like it was giant. I think it had like 2 points of articulation, like 2 elbows, 2 or 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, like more than the usual sort of standard one. And it took like quite a long time to get up to the top because it just like, everything moved at such a slow pace. So, yeah, but it was a really big boy lift, really. And they actually had to get like rail sleeper, like train sleepers and stack them up to have the wheels on the sleepers so that it would be on a flat kind of like base, and then they had to chock them so that it wouldn't roll backwards because it's a bit of a hill out the front here. And so it was a little bit of a nightmare, I think, getting access. And we also had to build like scaffolding underneath because there's a walkway that goes underneath the wall the walls that I painted as well. And so it was quite a setup.
It was a scaffolding, like not just to catch paint. But
it was to catch paint.
But what if you like dropped a tin of paint or something like that?
Yeah.
So land on someone's head.
When I painted one of them, the scaffolding was set up and it was flush with the wall, but there was this one tiny, tiny window, and it was about the size of like a toilet window. Like it was the smallest thing ever. And I dropped one brush the entire time that I was painting it, and it fell down. And I remember watching it fall really slowly, bounce off the scaffolding through the tiny hole. Down onto like the walkway. It was like the one I couldn't have possibly planned it better myself. So yeah, that was, we tried to get it. I didn't hit anyone with it, but there was definitely like a splodge on the ground where it landed.
Yeah.
So,
I always going to leave a
focus.
splodge behind at
You
every
really are the
mural.
splodge.
I know I always do.
Yeah.
It's usually when I'm packing up or something like that as well. Like you just sort of
Mm,
throw something down to the side and it's like, oh, that was still wet. It's
mm,
all over the concrete. You know.
yeah,
But I was just thinking about, like, I was looking up at the top of it and just thinking about you up there
yeah,
in the cage, like painting away,
yeah.
and just thinking about the fear of, like you're in just
Do
this
you
little
scared of heights?
basket. I don't know. I don't think I've painted high enough to
Really?
really test it. You know, I know at first I'd be a bit whoa. Like I've done. I guess the tallest I've done was, I don't know, probably 5 stories or something. And
Mm.
I remember being up there in a scissor lift, and my assistant was too, he couldn't work. I had to get him to do all the low bits. He couldn't let go of the railings. So,
Really?
yeah, but, yeah, not my current one, the assistant at the time. But yeah, I remember that was, quite a bad thing,
Yeah.
like, for him. But,
I no, I'm not scared of heights. I feel like I'm missing that part of my brain that that has that fear of heights. Like I I've always loved being up high. I really
yeah,
like it. I don't feel anything. I just kind of like it. It's
yeah.
good.
No, it's good. So both those murals, were they part of the Darwin Street Art Festival?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every mural that I have painted in Darwin has been a part of the Darwin Street Art Festival.
Yeah. And that's, 4 in total?
Four total now. Yeah, been
Yeah.
back 4 times.
Yeah, cool.
So
That's you must have a really good relationship with the directors and everyone involved, because they keep getting you back
yeah,
so
I mean,
regularly.
I consider DSAP to be like paint family. You know, like if when you travel around and paint so much, you really develop like quite strong connections with certain people all around the world. And so I've, I call people like that paint family, and they're just really, really close to them. But I also like to think that Darwin has really embraced my work, and they've invited me back up here because they really like it.
Yeah,
I really hope that that's one of the reasons why I'm back.
yeah.
So
No,
yeah.
obviously it's all working with all of you. And with your travels and everything, do you partake in mural festivals globally?
Yeah. So it's always like a combination of commission and kind of like festival kind of things. I I often refer to myself as a bit of a festival slut because I really love festivals. Um, I think most artists do because it, it's such a isolating job. You're on your own so much. And because I'm sort of like doing back to back projects or I'm on the road a lot, I'm just, I'm on my own quite often. And so festivals are just a little bit of a like island, like a little bit of a reprieve where I can come together and hang out with friends and make new friends and talk with my community and kind of make connections. It's kind of an important part of my mental well being as well as kind of like I guess the job itself because I think um there's always like a reciprocal kind of deal with festivals where like you 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 sort of like get a little bit of promotion, they promote you, like there's that kind of like crossover
Mm,
between them. But then then you go back on the road again and paint more walls by yourself.
yeah, yeah. I think I like the festival vibe as well. It's a chance to
Mm,
like come together, meet lots of other artists, and also there's usually like all these benefits that come from it. Like
yeah,
there's sponsors that get on board.
yeah,
There's they'll hire like photographers and people to document the whole festival, so you
yeah,
end up with really good photos
yeah,
and footage and stuff. And yeah, and it's also, I find that you're in a group of artists that are going through something similar.
yeah,
Like, for instance, we're up here in Darwin, and even though it's like the coolest time of year, it's still really hot, and we got to pick your time that you paint. You can't paint in the direct
yeah,
sun, like all these types of things. So everyone's sort of going through it together.
yeah.
And there seems to be this conversation of like, which direction's your wall
Mm.
facing.
I think it's
Yeah.
just kind of like when you get a group of people together who are like really passionate about what they do or what they love, and they like talking about the same things.
Mm,
Like we all like talking about walls and we all
mm,
like talking about painting walls.
yeah. Yeah.
You just get like you don't really get bored of the chats of like, oh, what's it like? What's yours like? Like
Mm.
how is it? Where's the sun? Is it thirsty? Like,
Yeah,
is it hard? What are the people like? What's going on with it? Like how are you applying the paint? What's it? Yeah.
yeah,
Like, it's just fun
it is, it
talking
is.
about it.
Yeah, it's a real honour to be on the lineup.
Yeah.
Like, I painted for the first ever Darwin Street Art Festival 10 years
Yeah, yeah.
ago, and that was a completely different experience to now. I think socially, like painting, it was like similar because you're painting a wall and
Yeah.
it's in the same city and everything. But as far as like the knockoff drinks were quite wild at like
Oh,
afterwards and stuff. There was lots of late nights and lots of like painting a bit hungover and things like that.
that's
Whereas it's
interesting.
been very mature this time round. You know, we'll meet up, we'll have dinner, and
10
then like
years on.
might have like one beer, and then just all part ways and go lay on
Yeah.
the couch and watch TV.
I feel like I was talking to someone about this the other day. Um, and I think it really also depends on the mixture of artists that you get in the festival as well. Like it's always like, group dynamics
Mm,
and the particular sort of set of people that or the particular combination will bring out different traits in different people, I think.
mm.
And so potentially that year you just had like a lot more like wild loose units that were
Yeah.
on the lineup. Maybe it was 10 years ago, everyone was a bit younger or something like that. But like definitely like I found I found after doing like a lot of festivals that the different combination of people will change like I guess how wholesome there's like the wholesomeness to like debauchery kind of like spectrum and it kind of like sits somewhere on there. So
Mm.
and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I quite often sit on the side of like having cups of tea and sitting around and chatting after like painting as opposed to like going out on the town. So maybe that's a bad influence that I'm here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's good. I think it's good. Well, like I find that like the guys that I know up in Darwin, they've all
Mm,
sort of like really simmered down, and
mm.
a lot of them
I
like
think everyone kind of
don't drink
changes as well.
anymore and
Yeah.
things like that, and so it's just a bit
Yeah.
more mellow.
Because I was here on the second year, um, but I don't really remember it being that crazy debaucherous either. But the thing is that again, every year except for this year, I've come and I've only had enough time to paint the wall, and then I've had to like fly straight away
Mm,
after the festival. And so this is the first year that I was like, nah, booking in some time. I'm having some time after the wall. Also, like David was like, I'm going to put you on a smaller wall. You don't have to spend all your time painting. And so,
mm,
yeah,
mm.
this is the first year that I actually get to like hang out and socialize with people,
Yeah,
um, which is nice. So yeah, the second year, I don't really remember it being that crazy. But the thing is, like, yeah, I was just painting and sleeping and painting and sleeping, and then left. So
yeah, yeah.
maybe it was.
Like like a fly in fly out job.
Yeah, it was fly in, fly out. Like
Yeah.
someone literally had to drive by the wall and pull me off it and put me in a car and drive me to the airport because I think I was flying to the States, like from Darwin or something like that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And do you find that you said that you had like back-to-back projects
Mm.
all lined up at the moment? Do you find that working on a mural while you're sort of coming up to the deadline for a new
Mm.
project is quite difficult? Like
Mm.
just sort of juggling all the admin side of things. So people think you're sitting there at the computer, and it's
Yeah.
like when you're up a scissor lift painting a wall, like you can't, you're
Mm.
not, you're just not checking emails and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I find it increasingly difficult. I think back to like, 10 years ago and I would like, do 12 hours on a wall and then I'd sit and do designs or emails at nighttime. And now I do like, 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours on a wall and I'm like, I just don't want to do this anymore. But yeah, no, it's doing back to back projects is a really particular type of way of working I mean, because I'm a bit nomadic at the moment and I don't have a base that I can return to and reset, um, quite often I am having to kind of like manage those times and those dates and I don't get as much time as I would have like, as you would normally kind of like want to have in between the different projects. Um, and you'll quite often have like several projects on and they'll all be at different phases. So at one, you might be sort of at the very procurement stage and you're sort of talking about briefs and quotes and whatever else. And then the other one, you're sort of like halfway through working through the designs. And so you're sort of like trying to put that all together. And then at another stage, you're trying to like order the paint for another thing. And so, yeah, it's quite often like you're at the different stages and it can be a bit overwhelming,
Yeah.
I
No, I
think.
get that. I get that.
I can't complain though, because the thing is with our work, it comes in waves, right? So sometimes it's feast or famine. You get like a really big wave of work that comes in and you sort of like, you have to just be on it. And then sometimes you'll go through months where there won't be any kind of interaction or any kind of like inquiries. And so it's kind of, it's, yeah, I've never quite managed to figure out how to get that balance, the right balance to kind of just like that consistency.
Mm. What do you do creatively in those downtimes?
Mm, I mean, I always draw. I I guess a couple of years ago, I really got back into like my drawing practice. It's something that I really, I guess, when I was painting, I kind of like would draw a certain way, but now I'm kind of returning to be more like sketching and more kind of like play with that sort of thing. If I can, I like to do kind of like studio work, but I've kind of would like to do more canvas work and more sculpture and more ceramic sort of things. Um, but yeah, I guess in the downtime, I aspire to like do things like writing and reading, like, reading some of the like art books that I've like purchased and have stored in several different locations and that sort of thing. But definitely sketching. Sketching something that I always do. I'm
Oh,
always kind of like, yeah, whether I'm working or not. That's kind of like something that it can just take around with me is like small paper. I
mm,
work on like A5 sheets of paper and with pencil. I always like the physicality of it too. I don't sketch on like an iPad or a computer. Like I can't really do that. It's all kind of like physical paper and pencil and the texture and the feeling of it.
mm.
It's really nice.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day
Yeah, yeah,
about do you use like Procreate and all that
yeah.
sort of stuff? I've just like this year got an
Mm.
iPad and got a Procreate and started drawing on it, and it's good. Like
I
it
find it
just
changes the
yeah,
way like
it
your
doesn't.
style.
It's not me like
No.
on there. I'm
Yeah.
like I'll do marks and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's like I find it's good for tracing something
Mm.
and cleaning it up.
Yeah. Okay.
But as far as actually going, "Oh, I'm gonna start with a blank
Yeah.
page and to start drawing and doing me," I don't know, it's not quite
Mm.
that doesn't I don't know, maybe it's just new for me,
No,
but
I mean,
yeah.
I think it really translates well with certain people's styles, and I believe that you can probably train yourself to use it, but I also wonder whether you'll lose something,
Mm,
like, because as much as you can replicate things like pressure, it won't be the same. Like,
mm,
there won't be certain things that are kind of the same with it, but it also is about what you enjoy, right? Like,
yeah,
if you don't enjoy working in that way, then
yeah. Like, I found with, even the same with Illustrator, like, when I
mm,
do an illustration, it's I don't know, it's lacking something.
yeah,
It's for me,
yeah. Well, it's funny. Like,
yeah,
the way that I used to draw was with ink.
mm,
And so, like, when I transfer it into the computer and kind of work it up that way, it did look quite a lot like Illustrator, and it was a lot easier to kind of transfer that into an Illustrator file or whatever else. But nowadays, because I want to kind of keep it a lot more sketchy and I want to keep some of those textures and the roughness to the sketch,
mm,
it's not it's not the same. So I've kind of like moved away from using Illustrator. I don't think I'd be able
mm,
to replicate anything
yeah.
there anymore.
Yeah. Well, how do you do up your mock-ups and designs for a mural?
I still use Photoshop. So I everything like I said, everything starts on with pencil and paper. I usually like using kind of like a colored pencil when I'm drawing. It's kind of just easier to kind of change the colors when you sort of scan it and put it into Photoshop. Um, yeah, so I'll sketch everything up, scan it in, chuck it into Photoshop, and then that's when I play around with like um, like the layout and the colors and like layering things and adding some texture in and yeah, I also have like a stockpile of kind of like a library of images that I've collected over the years of all like my own sketches and brush patterns and brush texture and kind of like paint textures as well, that sort of thing that I kind of like sub in and out and draw upon those. Um yeah, and then paint it on a wall.
Yeah, but what do you so you compile it all in Photoshop and
Yeah.
then color it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite manual, all that stuff, isn't it? Just to sort of
Yeah.
say like, "Hey, but it's gonna be all" like, I know that you can't, like, get away with just doing a
I
a rough drawing and going, "Oh, this is gonna look like
I
this."
often think about that. Like,
Yeah.
I wish I was the kind of artist that could just do like a rough drawing and be like, "Here you go. This is what it's going to be like." But
Mm,
I don't. I've never had any luck with that. Like, people want to understand more what it's going to look like. Quite
mm,
often, the people that I work with, they want to see a visual of what you're creating, and then they want to see it like on the wall itself. I still find that really strange or bizarre that people don't have that kind of like literacy. They can't visualize what an artwork will look like. They can't just look at the reference of like, here's my portfolio. It's going to be a little bit like this, but different. Like, people still are like, I don't understand. What's it going to do? It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I find sometimes I'll spend like 7 days on a mock-up and then 3 days on the painting. And it's like, wow, this like I'm really getting paid here for the mock-up because this is a pain in the ass.
But it's still, I mean, the thing is, it's part of the process. And I think that we need to treat it as part of the process. Quite often, people don't really want to pay for the designs and the mock-ups, but that's kind of when you're doing the artwork. And then when you're on the wall, you're replicating kind of like, part of it. You're part technician, you're part artist. You can still change things on the wall, you can still alter it, but ultimately you've done most of the creative work prior to getting there. Unless you just can turn up and do whatever you want. So I think that, I mean, feel like I'm going through a process at the moment where I'm trying to educate clients about that, about like, yes, you need to pay this much for the concept and for the design, for the like, preliminary stuff before I'm the wall, because you're not just paying me to paint on a wall, like you're paying for some artwork and this is a part of it. This is the overarching kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's really interesting how you've gone about evolving your artwork with the tools. Like I think about you submitting like a design, but then I think about all the gradients and how colors like sort of interplay with the gradients. Like for years you worked predominantly with black outlines, but fades, like color fades with black outlines, and you can sort of, there's a level of safety in that. Like I work like that still. I outline everything in black still. But when you would say like we'll work with a gradient, then the outline will be sky blue. Depending on what colors are in that gradient, it has a different effect from the top to the bottom. Like I'm really liking that interplay with color come into your work. Is color something that you like put a lot of time and thought into?
Yeah, I mean, color is something that I have had like a really deep interest in probably for my whole painting career. And it's definitely something that I lean into in a different kind of way. I don't think that people kind of like recognize, it's kind of funny, like, I don't think people really recognize like how much I'm interested in color. A lot of the times when they look at my work, they're just kind of like, oh, bright. But no, I mean, you've articulated 100%. One of my like passions is just kind of like working with color and the interplay between them, and how putting different colors next to each other, how do they respond? How do they work? How can I fuck your eyes over a little bit with this? And it's just interesting, that tension, that push and pull, and what can be used. I think it's quite intuitive for me. Like I don't think too deeply on it, but I just kind of do it intuitively. Like and it's something that like brings me a lot of joy. Kind of like, it's difficult to speak about because I don't have the words for the thing that I do without words.
Yeah.
I know
what you mean. So there's a lot of like not knowing how it's going to come out.
No, it's not even experimentation on the wall. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. I just don't know how to describe that to you beforehand. Like, it's not like I sit down and I go, I really wanted to create something that will do this. I just kind of like want to create something, and then afterwards I go, yeah, cool, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Hey artist, it's Claire here from the Art Career Academy. If you've been creating for years and you know it's time to go all in on your art career, then Tom and I are here to support you. If you're ready to grow your visibility, build more consistent income, and step fully into life as a professional artist, that's exactly what we help with. Our signature program, Going Pro, is designed for artists who are ready to up-level. We support you with the clarity, confidence, and a solid plan to turn your creative practice into a thriving career, without the burnout or second-guessing every move. At the Art Career Academy, we're all about raising up the art community and showing what's possible when artists back themselves. So to get started, grab our free Creative Cashflow cheat sheet. It's packed with 20 tried and tested ways to make an income from your art. Head to artcareeracademy.com to download it now. Okay, let's get back to the episode.
So George, have you finished the mural that you've been working on?
Yes.
here?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was done, I think 2 days ago now, 2 or 3 days ago.
Hmm.
Time, what is time? I don't know how long
Yeah.
ago it was, but I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
finished.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I noticed that this mural, like you're known for painting botanicals and flowers and stuff.
Mhm.
With this mural, it featured a whole bunch of critters.
Yeah.
Um, was that at the request of the
No.
property owner, or was
No,
that
no,
you
no.
wanting to do
No,
something
yeah,
different?
I mean, that's that's the beauty of festivals, right? It's
Mm,
usually you're allowed to paint whatever you wanna paint. Um, and yeah, no, this mural actually, it kinda came about because over the last, as I was saying, over the last year, I've been on the road and away from Australia a lot, and when people find out I'm from Australia, the response usually is, "Oh, you're from Australia, everything wants to kill you there," which, I think is a pretty funny and ultimately quite weird response because, like, I guess whenever you live in a location, you either just take things for granted or you don't really think about them. So nobody in Australia really thinks about, like, oh, everything could potentially kill me all the time. You just kind of grow up and everything is very normal and you live your life and whatever else. And so, yeah, I've painted this mural and it features, I think, some of the top things that can kill you in Australia, and I've titled it "Makes You Stronger" because it's just like a weird piss take. It's a funny kind of like concept to me, and they're also beautiful. Like, I love all of the different critters here, and all. They're so like interesting and unique, and it's just kind of like a bit of a tongue in cheek kind of celebration of that. And Darwin's the best place for that type of mural because I think there's a lot of places that don't like you to paint so-called scary animals on the wall, which I find very strange. So there's
mm,
a lot of locations where I've pitched doing snakes and stuff like that, and most of the time they say, "Oh no, we don't want that. We
mm.
don't want to scare the kids. We don't want to scare things." And so,
Yeah, they do really, really celebrate crocodiles and
oh,
spiders and all that up
yeah,
here. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, Darwin's such a special place. Like the people up here, the community, like everything. They're so like
mm,
I don't know. They're really open. They're really open to anything, and they're everyone's got like a great sense of humor, and so it's a lot easier to paint some of the concepts that maybe they don't fly in other sort of like different cities.
mm. Did you have your concept all worked out and you just went through it, or did you have a concept and then it sort of changed as you were
I had the
painting?
concept, and I sort of did the design for it, but then once I got to site, I I changed bits and pieces, just little things on the wall, like
Mm,
something wasn't sitting right. I wanted it to move. The wall, the ratio was different to what I expected it to be. It was a lot shorter and wider. And so I ended up having to kind of like move things around. And then once I kind of got it on the wall, I wasn't happy. And so I moved things around again.
mm.
And then like some of the colors I kind of like added or changed and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I reserve the right to make changes on the wall to make it better.
Yeah,
It's kind of the way that I look at it.
yeah. I think artists need that
I think so.
because it's one thing to be locked in on an idea, but if you know that the finished product is going to be better if you just
Hmm.
change this and change that, but you got someone saying it's not here in
Oh,
the
yeah.
plans,
This is something that,
it's not architecture,
no, it
it's
super
it's an
frustrates
artwork.
me about, muralism and
Mm,
doing that because we're not printers and we're not technicians and we shouldn't be expected to be sign writers. There's another profession that,
mm,
sign writers do that. They can replicate things and they do it really well, but we're artists. And so if there's going to be something that's going to be better, if it's going to improve the work, if it's something that you want to do, I think that the artist should definitely have the right to be able to do that on the wall, to make the decisions on the wall so that it is a good piece of art. So it's a good work. I
yeah,
think, yeah, I think it would be nice if clients and places really trusted us a little bit more
yeah.
in that regard.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And how are you coping with the heat? Like we're sort of 35 degrees
Yeah,
around about, like daily on a daily basis in the sun, no clouds. Yeah,
I'm built for the heat.
yeah.
I love it. It's honestly like, yeah, this is my ideal kind of like functioning temperature. I really, really struggle with the cold, and I'm finding that like, yeah, the temperature up here is like perfect for me and it's great to paint in. I'm like great with it. Like I
Mm,
can paint all day in the heat. I really struggle with anything less than like, get to like 27 degrees and I'm like, well, it's kind of getting a little bit cold now. So this
mm,
is like good.
yeah. I've always like struggled with the heat a bit, but I
Really?
find
I
that
think most people do.
yeah, through traveling and painting
Mm.
outdoors a lot, like I found that the time I spent in like traveling and painting in South America and in places like India as well, it sort of hardened me to be like able to handle like a
I
hot
mean,
day's painting.
I think heat is different to humidity, right? And when you're painting in like crazy high humidity, that's hard. Like that gets really hard when it's like 35 degrees and super humid. So I was in the Seychelles before I got to Australia, and that was crazy humid, and you felt it. And it wasn't even like I think it was like low 30s, but because of the humidity, it just became a lot harder to paint. Also, direct sun becomes a lot harder again. Like, all of those things, it does become really hard. But I do happen to love it a lot more. I mean, I also like have Raynaud's, which is this thing where like I lose feeling in my fingers, my like two smallest fingers on my hand, like all of the circulation just disappears from it at certain temperatures when it's cold. So I find it physically painful in the cold. I can't function. So yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm built for the heat.
That's good. Well, no wonder you've got so many murals around here. It works for you. But with like with the equipment that you use to paint with, like you work with your with a spray gun a lot, and that's that holds what 2 liters of paint. Like, and if you're like waving that like that over like a 9-story building, that's a lot of work for the arm. Like, do you feel that you like feel the physical effects of painting these large scale murals?
Yeah, so so I've fucked up my shoulder from overuse because, like you said, like the spray gun is quite heavy, and even though I do try and share the load between my left hand and my right hand, I'm predominantly right-handed, and if I'm not aware of it or if I don't think about it, then quite often it's just my right hand. So yeah, I really fucked up my shoulder quite badly from overuse. And so 2 years ago, I joined a gym to start to train so I could do my job. So now I'm such an advocate for like weight training. I do a thing called like functional strength training. And I have a PT who I message with and who messages me if I've missed any sessions. And yeah, I have to train for it. But that's the one thing that's really helped with my shoulder and with a lot of like those things is just doing the weight training.
Yeah. No, I think it's essential. Like, as we were talking about the other day, it's I think even like if you're doing too much of anything, your body starts to suffer. Too much computer, too much
RSI,
sketching.
Like tennis elbow. Like there's so many different things that you can get if you. It's a repetitive strain, and it happens the same with painting as well. Like, I know a lot of people who have problems with their wrists from painting with that.
Yeah, I know like tattoo artists have back problems from leaning over all the time, and like there's all like it doesn't matter the scale. It's that repetition and the long hours and things.
Yeah, I was talking to Matt Adnate about this like a few years ago, and I now only hurt myself if I'm not painting because I've gotten so used to kind of like being so mobile and moving around so much that the times that I injure myself is when I'm not painting and I'm sitting at a computer for too long and I roll over in bed and it hurt my back.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same. I think the computer's the one that gets me the most.
The computer is really bad. Yeah. It's really, really bad.
Yeah. Or deadline for an exhibition. I find that like if I'm like spending too much time painting, it's and I'm like
because you're like
it can also be like I think deadlines as well as tension like you're gripping the brush too tight or something
you just
like that.
You kind of hold it in your body and your body gets really stiff, and that I think that's the killer. That's when we really like good.
Yeah. So with the tools that you do use for painting, we mentioned your spray gun. Like what else do you use?
I have my favorite brushes. I definitely I like collecting brushes. I generally try and purchase a brush from every place that I go to, so I have like a collection of brushes. But yeah, over the years I've definitely had different brushes that are my favorite, my preferred ones. In Australia, like Monarch does like the triangle brushes, and they're really great for like line work and that sort of thing. But at the moment, my favorite brush is this really wide, thin brush, and it's great for kind of like dry brushing and textural kind of thing. And they fly around with me everywhere. So usually I use like a spray gun, mini rollers, and brushes. That's generally it. I don't really like using the big rollers; too messy. You waste a lot of paint with them. So the mini rollers are the best things for like the buildings, I find.
Yeah, I love the mini rollers. I use them for the little rippers. Yeah. So this is a controversial question. Do you go the foam head or the fluffy one?
Not fluffy.
Fluffy, I'm all about the foam.
Fuck the
Oh,
foam.
really?
You can have all of my foams then.
I find
You
that
like the foam.
I find that the foam ones are good for getting the clean lines.
No.
Like I draw with them, and you can use the end and do dots with it and
Oh,
all
yeah.
that
I mean,
sort
I
of
can
stuff.
see
Yeah.
how that. But the thing
Yeah.
is that the walls generally tend to rip them up like
Yeah.
really fast.
Yeah.
So I can see how with the way that you paint,
It depends.
that would
Like,
be good.
it
But no.
depends how you work with it, I guess.
Okay.
But I find the fluffy ones are good for getting in bricks and things like that. Like,
Yeah. I
it's
prefer the fluffy ones. Like,
yeah, fluffy for fills for me. Fluffy for fills, but for details, I like the foam one.
I feel like we've just come up with a whole different like titles for like t-shirt titles, like fluffy for fills,
Yeah,
fluff for fluff,
yeah,
fuck for foams.
foam for details. There's a front and a back
We're
design.
gonna have a range
Yeah.
of t-shirts coming out soon.
So with the scales of mural that you
Uh-huh.
paint, you know, obviously you don't start like painting the side of a
Mm.
10-story building or anything.
Yeah.
Like, how did that growth work for you? Like, did you like start small and then suddenly a big opportunity came and then from there it's been big ever since? Or
I feel like everyone kind of has the same sort of thing. You always start on a wall that you think is a really big wall, and then you sort of like paint it, and then you move up to like the next size of wall and the next size of wall. So I think I started on like, I don't know, regular side of the building, like a single story kind of thing, and that felt ginormous for me. And then I kind of like went up to the next size, and I wanted to go bigger and bigger. I think I always knew that I really liked painting the bigger walls. Like I do really enjoy the bigger the bigger walls. Like it's a completely different style of painting. You use your body a lot more. I just find that whole process really enjoyable. Um,
so I think it was a couple of years ago
mm,
now. You had a art residency in Melbourne in the
mm,
CBD.
yeah.
And that was the first time I really sort of experienced studio work from you. Like
Mm,
I know that you've done stuff over the years, but to actually see the end of that residency and how much work you produced and the style
mm.
exploration and just new themes and styles coming out of your work. Can you talk a bit about that
Yeah,
residency and what you got out of it?
yeah, of course. So it came about at the end of COVID. It was a private residency, so it wasn't really like something that was like open for applications and that sort of thing. So it was just organized via my previous manager, and it was through a company called ISPT, and there was a lot of businesses had moved out of the center of the CBD, and so this was a part of an initiative to kind of like get people back into the city and to kind of like inject a bit of life and that sort of stuff. And so I had the space over a few months. And when I was in there, I kind of like moved in and took all of my stuff in, and I kind of just used it to explore and experiment. Um, and a lot of that was all around like color. So I kind of was basing my stuff much more on abstractual kind of abstract work, just so that I could like purely just do like color exploration. And so I was kind of like, I had these brushes that I had built, and I was kind of like doing these gradients and then creating these textures and overlaying these textures and kind of creating work based off that. And at the end, I just had like an open studio where people could come in and kind of see what I'd done. Yeah, so that was a really interesting process to be able to have the time and the space to kind of like just dig into to kind of exploring things a little bit more, or exploring that part of my practice. Like I feel like I have a few different streams. And sometimes they overlap and sometimes they don't overlap, but abstraction and color is kind of like one of those streams. And that's the one that I decided to focus on for that particular kind of project.
Cool. And with like making studio work and exhibiting your work, is that something that's like part of your art, or you just focus solely on the murals?
Well, for years, so I definitely had like a studio practice, and then for years I was purely doing murals, like predominantly like I was just painting walls. And so that kind of marked the start of me trying to actively make a shift back to doing studio work, because I would like to. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of painting. You're producing different work, and it also can feed back into the public work that you kind of create. And so I've been wanting to make more time for myself to be in the studio itself as well.
Mm.
Yeah, so that kind of like marked the shift, just starting to kind of like shift back into it. But
Mm.
I am finding it hard to make the time for that. I think, because when you're on the road a lot and you're traveling around and back-to-back projects, it's just really difficult. And so, it's definitely something that I'm aspiring to.
Yeah, when you're nomadic, it is quite difficult to develop studio works. Like, I know I spent 6 years traveling in the 2010s, and I painted so many pieces then. So I've got like lots of photos of artwork that's all on the streets. And then and when I did do studio works, I was very much like leaning towards like watercolors on paper and things that I could put in a folder and slot into my suitcase and take it home with me. And you don't want to sort of bog yourself down when you know that you're not going to live the rest of your life there.
I mean, like I said, I've got all my sketch pads, and I've got like lots of sketches that I carry around with me, and then sometimes I just gift them to people, and you don't end up with anything. And so I don't know, but I would like to make some more space and some more time for the studio.
Yeah. So what are your plans for the rest of the time you're in Darwin? Are you going to get out and see, like, do you ever get out and see beyond like the city?
Well, we went to Litchfield the other day, and we went to a waterhole, which was really beautiful. I love getting out of the city, and I love the country up here. It's incredible. I've never seen a croc. I really would like to see a croc. I'm not sure if
like in the wild or in captivity.
Either or, probably not up close, but like
I've seen about 5 of them today.
What?
I went to the crocodile sanctuary this morning. I just went out for a run ended up down where they feed the fish in the morning. And so I was feeding all these like hundreds of fish and big stingrays and all sorts of stuff, just feeding them bread. And then I ended up going past the crocodile sanctuary and went in there and had a look around. And
I might.
So we've got our name on the door. You got to make the most of it.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that.
And then there's a big reptile area. And mind you, I found that feeding the fish was better than the crocs because that was in the wild where it was a bit like going to a crocodile zoo.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I've just never seen one, and they're so incredible. Like, it's like watching dinosaurs.
They are like dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would love to just see them and see the way that they move. And I think it would be fun. It would be cool to see them out in the wild. I would be terrified. But I mean, honestly, like the one thing I want to do when I come up to Darwin is just throw myself in water holes all the time and go for walks and hikes and whatever else. So, and hang out with the people, and also see the murals. If I can see the murals, that would be good.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's 165 now, I think, or something like that.
What did they say? It's got the highest density of murals per capita.
Yeah, mural capital of Australia.
Per capita.
Yeah. And so with you mentioned before you got lots of projects and things going on. Like what are your plans for the future? Like what sort of things are you working on? What are you looking to do with your art?
Yeah, so I mean at the moment I'm sort of like I said I'm on tour in Australia. So next stop is I go via Canberra and then I end up in Melbourne for a bit and then I'm in Sydney and then I should be heading back to the UK for a project and then the plan is to go to Switzerland. And then I think I should be hitting Germany and the Netherlands as well. Long term, like I said, I think I'm going to be bouncing around Europe for a little while longer if the visas come through. So I'm sort of at the whim of the visa lords. So hopefully if they come through, I can be sort of over there more permanently and maybe like base myself there a little bit more stably. That would be nice. And then, I have applied for a Masters of Fine Art. It would be nice to do that.
Really? Where are you looking to do that?
In Basel, in Switzerland, because it's the only cheap thing that comes out of Switzerland. It's so expensive there, and yet, Masters is cheaper than in Australia.
Wow.
In Switzerland. So I would love to do that, but it's quite competitive. And so I'm just waiting to hear back about that. And if that comes through, then maybe I'll be there for a couple of years. And if not, then probably be on the road still.
That's exciting. Every established artist I know that then's gone back to art school has always turned a corner with their art.
Yeah, I'm really interested. I kind of I'm craving a bit of the structure because I've found that because it's really hard for me to make my own time to be in the studio and kind of do that. I I kind of am seeking some external structure for my work to be able to be like, okay, now I have to stay in one spot. Now I have to kind of like really like, I don't know, get deep with this and really like look at it and kind of like play around with it. Yeah, so that's ideally what I would love to do. But then again, you know, the universe has plans and we just have to go along with them.
Yeah, well, let's watch this space, eh? Yeah. So finally, if people were wanting to check out your work online, where's the best place for them to see it?
Oh God. The two best places is probably on Instagram. It's George_Rose, and then my website is georgerose.com.au. I am notoriously not the best at updating both of those, but I will try and keep people updated. I think yeah, I'm trying to get better at like at least posting stories and whatever else, but then I'll do more posts and
You seem pretty onto it, you know. I've never thought that about you.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah. You pop up. You
I've
pop
got
up in the stories and you
good
post
reputation for stories there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool.
Yeah, they're the two best places.
All right, George. Well, the light's coming in.
Yeah.
So,
We tried to.
So let's wrap this up. Thanks for taking the time to sit down and have this chat. It's been great to find out more about like what you're up to. You know, we've been see each other briefly, but we're usually in really big groups, so it's good to have some one-to-one time and find out what you've been working on.
Nice.